Okay, welcome back to another video. This is a Workbench update showing you what I've been up to in the last week or two. And what you see in front of you is mainly what I've been doing. I've been focusing my efforts on my 30k Age of Darkness Mechanicum army that I've had purchased from Forge World years ago. Probably, I don't know, at least 4 years ago. And this is one of those projects that I couldn't get started. Firstly, I love the look of the Mechanicum in 30k. I'm not such a fan of what they look like in 40k, but I really love the sleek, rounded edges from the 30k version. So when these models were initially released, I wanted them. I just had a problem. I couldn't afford them. So over the years, I picked away at a squad here, like a 3-set here, a 3-set set of guys here, and over the course of a couple of years, or maybe 2.5, 3 years, I managed to purchase basically enough to get started, or enough to play a decent-sized game. And what we have laid out in front of me is my efforts in that. But once I had the models, and they were in my hands, and I had them on the assembly table, I suddenly got struck by a inability to figure out what I wanted to do with them. I could not settle on a paint scheme. I don't know why I couldn't. I just could not figure out how I wanted to paint them. I seemed to either paint everything red or everything black. And I didn't want to do either red or black. And as you can see how well that worked out. But essentially I tried, I had several test models, and I tried to paint them several different color schemes that I thought would look great. I know that a YouTuber far bigger than me called Winter's SEO, he has a 30k Mechanicum army, and they're a really cool like bronze silver look, and I tried that. And then I think it's Josh from wargaming.com, he has a Mechanicum army that's kind of like a cream color with a green, and I really wanted to do that, but I could not get mine to look right. And I spent about 3 or 4 solid weeks stressing over what colors to paint them. And finally I decided that, you know what, let's just get the models assembled and I'll worry about painting them later down the road. So I did. I started out assembling, and I can't really afford that many Forge World models. I've never really bought that many of them. I have several, but it's not something that it's not a website that I go on to with impunity. So I wasn't really used to resin. Normally white metal or plastic, but the resin from Forge World, either the casts are absolutely amazing and they fit together like Lego pieces and it looks great, or they need a lot of work. And when I got these, several of them, like the Thanatars, for instance, they were easy to put together. They were amazing. Other things, like the Castellax, they were hard to put together. They were a difficult assembly. They looked great when they were assembled, but they were difficult. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble. The reason why it took me so long to get them to this stage here, which isn't complete yet, I'm just working on it, is because I got fed up with the assembly process and I couldn't think of a paint scheme. I'm a guy that needs everything in order. I need everything that goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, everything in order. I need to know the color scheme that I'm doing. I need to know that I have the bases. I need to know I have the paints. I don't start a project until everything is assembled in front of me, or everything is present in front of me. There's my cat knocking the camera. And that wasn't the case with these guys. So essentially I got so fed up that I put them in a box, and they sat in a box for 4 years. And it was only a couple of weeks ago that I found the box. I'm like, oh my god, that's right, I have a Mechanicum army. And because I had spent so much money on it, I thought, holy crap, what an expensive box of pieces this is. So I took them out, and I had just finished the previous project from the last Workbench. I thought to myself, oh my god, you know what? While I have a weekend to myself, I'm going to paint one and see if I can get a color scheme. And I know they're red and black, but not really. They're dark gray and red and orange. And I painted one guy, like one of these dudes, and I actually really liked how he came out. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to go with that. And lo and behold, in 2 days, I was sent home from work to isolate because I dared sneeze. And they told me to go home and isolate and take a COVID test. And in the 2 days it took to get the results of that test, I managed to get to this stage. Everything has base coats, everything has highlights. They're basically done except for the basing. I do have some basing material down on the base, but that is just the beginning of the basing process. I'm not 100% done. And I was so chuffed to bits with myself that, hey, this Forge World money didn't go to waste. Here comes the cat with the ball. This guy is unbelievable. I was so chuffed to bits with myself that I smiled all weekend after getting these things to this point. It wasn't until a few days ago when I started to reassemble some of the pieces that hadn't been, like, I painted in some things just like this. Like the Thalax here, I painted just as I assembled them. But other things like the Thanatar and stuff, I painted in sub-assemblies. And it wasn't until I was joining everything together that I realized that I'm actually missing several pieces. On this Vorax, I'm missing his gun, his, like, from the hopper to his gun. And I have absolutely no idea where I put those. So for now, they're missing their ammo belts on the Vorax, and I think the Thanatar have 2 ammo belts each. I only have 1. I don't know where the other one went. So if you see there's a big ammo belt that goes from his gun to his hopper. Yeah, this is where I'm at. So essentially, I have myself a 40k, not a 30k, Dominus, Tech Priest, whatever you want to call it. I have 12 Thalax, all painted basically exactly the same. It's, if anyone's wondering, it looks like black, but it's really not. It's dark gray. It's German gray, the World War II German gray, and red. I have 3 Vorax, which I just showed a second ago. I have 9 Castellax. 3 of them have, what are these things called? Meltas and the blades. 3 of them at the back there have dark fire cannons, and 3 of them at the front have Mauler bolt cannons. And then I have 2 Thanatars, both of them with the plasma mortars, which I really love. These are such nice models. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. I painted everything here in 2 days. And I'm really proud of myself. So I just thought I would show those off. The next thing that I'm working on, I'm just going to pause the video here, move the Mechanicum aside, and bring in the next project, which is not only different in theme, but way different in scale. Hold on one sec. Okay, so this is the second project that I've been working on, and you can barely tell what they are. If I bring a Castellax out here, you can see how big he is. This is 28 mil, obviously, everyone knows that. But these are 3mm Roman legionaries. And the reason for this is there's a rule set coming out called Strength and Honor. It's not out yet, but it'll be available soon, I hope. And it uses 3mm figures to fight large ancient battles. So I was really intrigued, and I wanted to look into how I would use my 6mm figures with this rule set. But I got onto their Facebook group, and I really loved the way the 3mm looked, the mass battle type stuff, so I decided to give it a go. So I got some bases together, I got my 3D printer to print off some 3mm Romans, and I started painting. So if I can show you here, you can't really see very well, but these are 3D printed. It's hard to see, they're very small. 3D printed Romans. The front row have swords, the back rows have pila. And there's quite a lot of them here. There's about 16,000 figures in this group of 9 bases. Now, I didn't paint 16,000 figures, it's just that's how many heads and swords and spears there are. But they were extremely, there's the back of them, they were extremely easy to paint. And these are going to be used for Caesar's civil wars, or the civil war with Caesar and Pompey. and various other senators. And my goal with this project is to do the Battle of Pharsalis, and I need to paint around 20 legions. So I have the first 9 done. They were extremely easy to paint. And actually quite fun compared to most things that I paint, which are kind of arduous. These were a lot of fun to paint because you're not going to see any eyes. You're not going to see any faces. Essentially, it was I printed off these. It's hard. Let me see if I can get this on camera. They're so small, it's hard to show. But each one of these squares, these cohorts, is 4 3D printed models of 30 people each. And all I did was I primed them black. I dry brushed them silver all over. I then dabbed gold on the top of them to show helmets. Then I dry brushed the back row. Well, I can't really see there, but I dry brushed the back row with like a brown to show the pila. And then the front, I just put a bit of red along the front. Like, it's hard to show doing the balls job of this, but I just got my brush, dipped it in red, and went right across the front. And then I got a toothpick, dipped it in silver, and dab. And it took me I would get 2 legions done in about 40 minutes. So this was a week's worth of spare time here and there. I have more on the go, but this is the first 9 legions. These big ones are Pompey's legions, 6 of his legions. And these 3 are 3 of Caesar's legions. And the reason why they're a different size, it's 100 millimeters by 60 versus 100 millimeters by 80. 100 by 80 is the size of a full-strength legion, so this would be 1 full-strength Roman legion of 10 cohorts. And this 100 by 60 is 1 reduced-strength veteran legion of still 10 cohorts, but the cohorts are kind of half the size because when I first started researching or being interested in Rome and the legions, I assumed that the legion was around 4,500 to 5,000 men all the time, and whenever they'd go into battle and they'd lose, 900 men, they'd recruit 900 men and they'd bring them back up in a few months. But that turns out to not be the case in most circumstances, especially on a campaign. Sure, at the beginning of a war, there'd be 4,500 to 5,000. But then by the end of the war, there'd probably only be 1,200, 1,400 men left in the legion, and they wouldn't recruit anymore until the campaign was over. So to my surprise, a lot of the battles that Caesar fought with his legions, and they were elite veteran legions, they were actually comparatively small to a senatorial or Pompeian legion. And my goal is to paint 20 legion bases, 4 cavalry bases, several skirmisher bases, and then when the rules come out, have enough ready to fight the Battle of Pharsalis, which I thought was one of the largest battles in the Civil War, but not even close. So I'm debating on where I want to bring this. If I want to leave it at where I'm at with 20, or do I want to go to more? And the cat just wants me to throw this ball. But I have one more thing to show, so I'm going to pause it here, scurry the Romans out of the way, and bring in the next thing that I'm working on and entertain the cat for a quick second. Hold on. Okay, so here's the next thing that I'm working on, and it's not this. But if you've seen any other videos of mine, you'll have watched me play Horus Heresy games or Adeptus Titanicus games with my collection of Titans. And I have many. I have 2 forces. I have the Mortis, Legio Mortis, and Legio Graphonicus. I know, very, very vanilla. That's like doing Ultramarines in 40k. But I don't know why I have to paint red and black something. Everything I paint, one of the factions has to be red and black. It's a thing. But I have been thinking of expanding my legions into something a little bigger than this. You might have seen in one of the videos, I do have an Emperor Titan, and he stands really, really high. And that is a Legio Mortis Emperor Titan. And I decided to get my printer working, my 3D printer, I mean, the new one that I got, which is a Saturn, a large plated one. I decided the first thing I would do when I got that Saturn printer is I would try my hand at making a Titan for Legio Graphonicus. So I have started to print off and assemble my Emperor Titan And there's the bottom, so you can see the size of that. Here is a bit of the top. Now I still have to glue certain bits onto here. I'm going to zoom out in a second so you can see it. But, yonk. He's not fully assembled yet. But I just want to show you what I was working on. So I'm going to zoom out here real quick. And there's the cat in frame. Here's a Reaver Titan. And here's the gun of that Emperor Titan. It's the same size as the Reaver. And that's what I'm working on now. I'm working on magnetizing and printing off the last few bits. And then I will get to painting my second Emperor Titan. My first one looks totally different than this. This is more of an old school look. And I think it looks fantastic. I can't actually wait to paint it in its Graphonicus colors. And yeah, that's what I'm working on. So I've got the Mechanicus I'm working on, just need a base. I do have a Voltarax. I don't know if you can see this. I just want to turn the thing. The cat is there trying to push the ball through the Mechanicum. I do have a Voltarax that I have not painted yet, but I've just finished assembling it, so I've got a little bit more to do on them. I have 11 more legions to do for here, and I have this guy. Now, those two things in the corner, they are two Domitars, but they're not finished yet, and I don't really like how I painted them, so I'm not showing them off. But yeah, that's where we're at, and I appreciate you watching and tuning in, and that's my latest Workbench update. Okay, bye for now.